Hey everyone. So I tweeted out an intro to Temporal recently, and one of my readers had a very interesting request. So basically, he was saying, "All right, like the idea, but how does it adapt to my business?" And the example that I tweeted in the video showed an example of translating project requirements into code. And that's for a lot of people a huge aha moment because they can really see how that the complexity of their business requirements are pretty concisely reflected in their code. So wanted to give you an example of what it's like to translate this because it's actually really fun once you get into it. And I've done it on live stream before, but I never really recorded it because, quite honestly, I was still pretty new at it. And sometimes sometimes they don't know what they want, but I think this one is a pretty well-defined problem, so I wanted to try to get it on tape so that people can see and learn for themselves. All right, so here's the requirement that he gave me. So what he wants to he runs in status, which is a like a bootstrapped startup thing, whatever. He wants to send subscribers early notifications before maintenance starts. He wants to start and complete maintenance automatically. He wants to remind customers that they have long-running incidents. To me, this was a bit underspecified. I have no idea what he does or why, but once he sent me the UI, I was like, okay, like this is a spec. It's pretty cool. So this company can announce and plan maintenance ahead of time. So it's like a one-off. It's not like an infinite loop. And then send in updates about it to its customers at specified times. And they can choose to start and finish the maintenance automatically on time. So I don't know what start automatically means, but it's a checkbox, and I can do a checkbox. So something like this, we can probably model, and I wanted to do it live and sort of show you my thinking process behind it. So honestly, like for me, it's kind of there are a few ways to go about it. One is you can start to sort of inventory all the options that are coming in, basically all the checkboxes and the integer field here. Everything else is just kind of incidental. Probably you need a date as well. But then that would be a fair amount of complexity right off the bat. So the other approach that I might want to take is what's the simplest form of this, which is essentially okay. We are planning to schedule maintenance. We're going to start in a future date, and then we can sort of expand the functionality now, and then you can sort of add maintenance. When you click this button, you start the workflow, is how I think about it. And then obviously you can cancel it in the future if you want to. Okay. So right now the requirement that I'm going to try to model is the basic stripped down one, and then we'll just add the options as they go along. I think that's realistic as to what it's like to change requirements in the future. So for example, we're going to say start a maintenance at a specified future date. And then there's some options as to whether you notify subscribers now or to have some kind of duration. But let's see what it's like. So at its core, you just export async function. Every workflow is a function. So let's just say new maintenance. Just say maintenance, future maintenance, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but I'm a little bit picky about naming things. And I know that I'm going to keep adding stuff later, so I'm just going to preemptively make this an array for now, an object for now, and say date is, sorry, let me turn this off into do not disturb for like an hour. Here we go. So start date time. Yeah, there's no time zone here, but it's probably something that this guy's going to want in future. I'm going to leave that to him to adapt. We should probably use types. So for example, we'll just say like input args, and then fill that out. I'm just not going to bother because we're just prototyping, but that's what it would be like to have type safe development. So I'm just going to say, right, I assume that you know TypeScript. And I'm not here to teach you TypeScript, I'm here to teach you Temporal. So I'm just going to say all this stuff. Okay. So then we're going to use a sleep until function. So I have that. So that's not something that we give you out of the box. So we're thinking about it, but we have sleep, and from sleep you can build sleep until. So I'll just assume that you have this sleep until function. I'll take this import as well. All right, let's say sleep until, screw it. Let's just import this as well. Copy paste, copy paste. Miss details. All right. I'm just gonna leave links for others to find, so that they can read up more about it later. But we were gonna want the sleep until function, sleep until some future date. So let's just say this goes right in. Okay. I think that's it. And then we're gonna say, and then once the sleep is done, then we're actually going to fire off a maintenance, right? So we're going to start importing some activities. It's proxy activities, but proxy what? Let's see. So activities are where the workflow actually does real life code. So again, I'm not going to fill in everything, but I'm going to say something like flow.proxy activities, flow.sleep, okay. And we're going to say something like do maintenance reminder, remember to set timeouts to adjust timeouts. So we'll discuss timeouts separately, or you can read the docs for what that actually means. But we'll also have to import the types of the activities. Again, this is just for type safety. You don't actually have to import the activity functions themselves, because the workflows and activities work in different contexts. The workflows are working in a special deterministic sandbox, whereas activities execute in a Node.js environment. Okay, so let's say we do maintenance, and then we're await do maintenance here. I don't believe we're really returning anything, so let's just kind of keep it simple. So a very simple workflow starts off like that, right? So you declare upfront what activities you're going to engage in. For us, the meat and potatoes of it is do maintenance, whatever maintenance is. Then we're gonna have a sleep function that we also handwrite, but we have a sleep until a certain future date, which is given to us from the UI. That's really good, except that we have a few other things that we want to specify. We want to specify the duration, and we want to notify subscribers now. Okay. So let's just keep editing this thing. But I want to show you how this requirements evolve, right? So let's just say we have more activities that we want to encourage. So we want to say notify subscribers, whatever that is. And then we'll say duration. So both of these arguments look like they're required. So just keep in mind what's required and what's not required. So I think that would just go as an argument into do maintenance. And then we'll say notify subscribers now. So this will be a Boolean. And so we'll say something like if notify subscribers now. So he says now, meaning that this has to happen before the sleep starts, which means that we'll do something like this, whatever that is. You probably have to send in like some kind of array of like what the subscribers mean, but I assume that that can be got from context. The activities have a way to share that context, or you can just sort of inject it from the workflow, however that is invoked. I should probably also mention how this is invoked externally. So this is probably like a tutorial type of thing, but for anyone new to Temporal, I probably want to be a bit more explicit. So apart from sample workflow.ts, you're also going to have to call it, right? How do you call this once you've written all of that? So I'm just going to show you, take a small detour and teach you a little bit about that sort of thing. So you're going to call it in a client. So something like this, sample client.ts. Their scaffolder will actually print all this boilerplate for you, so you don't really have to worry about it. And we're going to say maintenance workflow from workflows, and then do a connection. You don't even really need to do any of this, but yeah, I'll just simplify it for you because everything else you can see in the docs. All right, we're just using the defaults for everything, you know. That's what we're doing here. So next, I'll explain why I'm trying to show you this, because I feel like people don't really understand well enough until we spell it out for them. You know, we have to really spell it out, guys. You can call it whatever. You can call it workflow ID, whatever. Let's just say I don't know, plus customer ID, whatever it is. I assume that customer ID just comes from somewhere. Okay, and then yeah, you can log. We're not going to wait for a result. Yeah, so you can imagine this is a serverless function, or this can be part of your backend application. Whatever it is, you have to just call this client somehow. And that would be linked up to this button, add maintenance. So whenever add maintenance is called, you click this and it calls this run method, which actually does client.start maintenance workflow and passes in all these options, which I should probably also fill in there as well. So I should say blah, 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 whatever, right? Something like that. Okay. So I'm just gonna try to order this. So let me see. Oh, that's not the file name. So 04 sample maintenance workflow, and just call this 01. Does that switch up the order? Yes, it does. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Then the other small thing that you probably also want. We're not going to talk about the implementation of the activities, but just know that you also have to register workers. The workers are the fleet of workers, who are all horizontally scalable, that are all empowered to do this work. So you're going to have something like, let's just call this 2. This is even less important than the others because it's kind of boilerplate. Only for advanced users are going to handle all this stuff. So we're going to just basically fully copy over everything here. And the only thing we'll change is the task queue, because we want these task queues have to match the task queue for the clients and the task queue for the workers so that they can find each other. And that's about it. That's about it. So that's like a very bare minimum setup. The only thing that we're missing here from the implementation is the activities, which you're actually going to have to do. This is basically, you have to go and implement do maintenance. You have to go and implement notify subscribers. This is standard Node.js code. Whatever you're familiar with is going to work. Okay, so let's keep modeling the requirements. We've done this part now. There's like optional fields for like messages and affected components, whatever that is, doesn't matter. But we want to model this automation options. So let's go model that. All right. So we need to notify subscribers 30 minutes before the maintenance starts. Okay, so I probably will have an options field. I'll just call it automation options. And we'll just say that that does modify the maintenance logic a little bit. I don't know what start the maintenance automatically means. So I assume that means I don't know what that means. Okay. I assume that means that there's an alternative, which is starting the maintenance manually. So we're gonna have to model that as well. So, all right, let's do this notify subscribers 30 minutes before the maintenance start thing. Okay, so if automation options dot notify before we'll do one thing, else we'll do another thing. So the sleep will go here if there is no automation options, and if there isn't, sorry, yeah, if there is, then we'll have to do some math. Minus date math, date minus time, whatever, right? So you can watch it. You can probably find this from date FNS. So it's something. Date FNS is just really good in figuring out all this stuff, like subtract. Yeah, something like that. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, so we'll say sub start date time, and then we'll keep it to minutes. So the only thing we need to specify here is minutes. So this is an integer. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is hard coded to minutes, so that's good enough for us. Okay, that's that requirement done. The second requirement is a little bit harder. Start the maintenance automatically and notify subscribers. Complete the maintenance on time and notify subscribers. So it sounds like the default, if the checkbox is not checked, that you have to wait for maintenance to be manually fulfilled. So for that, we'll use a signal, and we'll have to wait for that to come in. So let's define signals and queries. So we'll say something like a maintenance done signal. Maintenance done signal. All right. Okay, and then we'll say that we're blocking on that to be completed. So if automation options start automatically, dot. So there are two things here: start automatically and notify. Type equals to automatic. All right. By the way, you should be keeping track of all the types of all these things. I'm just gonna let you figure that out, but that's a pretty basic requirement here. So if it's automatic, then yeah, you should just go right ahead and do this. And then if it's notify subscribers, if that's true, then await notify. Where's the notify? Oh, there we go. Notify subscribers. I don't know how long notify subscribers is going to take. If that takes a material amount of time, then you're going to have to promise out all this. But if not, this is fine. Who cares? Okay, and if it's not automatic, this is the more interesting one. Then we have to wait until actually, this is more like start maintenance. There we go. Start maintenance. If it's not automatic, then we do await start maintenance. Okay. So here's an API that we haven't done yet. We have to wait for this to be true. Okay. Let is blocked equals to true. I don't know. Let is waiting equals to false, I guess. No, let is waiting equals to true. Then we'll say await workflow condition is waiting to be false. Then we'll do the maintenance. Okay, and then the final thing for us is to set up the event handler. So that would be here. All right, then would be receiving that signal and saying is waiting equals false. Something like that. So that would also mean that we would need to set up a separate client that would be able to call that signal, right? So let's just say there's like a manual completion step. So we'll just say O2 signal completion.ts. Signal start maintenance, manual start to maintenance. All right. Let's copy over that code. The main difference is that we're getting an existing workflow. So we don't really need all of this stuff. We just need to say that client.getHandle, and we're going to pass in that workflow ID that we set previously. So we're going to say workflow ID, customer ID, and then we'll say handle.signal whatever the signal is. So, for example, if we wanted to be really precise about this, we could say something like, oh, let me import this stuff. There we go. Manual start. There we go. There. So we've so this way, whenever that manual start comes in, we just run this code rather than the other client, and then that will be received by the signal handler here. That's going to turn the is waiting variable into false. Then that unblocks the wait workflow.condition, and then we do the maintenance. So that is that. We also have to do notify subscribers is already done, and then complete the maintenance on time and notify subscribers. I don't know what that means. I assume it also means that it's complete the maintenance automatically. So what that means would be something like another we're just duplicating this. It's not rocket science. Complete maintenance signal. And then because this is code, we can actually probably find ways to reduce duplication, because we're about to do something pretty similar to something we already done, right? I don't know what complete. So right now it just automatically completes. Okay. What I would say is, okay. So what I would say is let is complete equals to false. Let's just put all the way up here. That is maintenance complete false. Right. So this is the state for the whole workflow. You can probably also query this if you want. Fuck it. Let's actually make it a query. So let's make this query. So we can let you query maintenance status. So I'm adding my own requirements just because it's so fun and so easy. And then I'm going to say, I'll let you query that. All right. And then is maintenance query. All right, here you go. Cool. All right. So now I have an is maintenance complete equals false. I think I should probably turn that true. All right. So this stage is this block of code has to do with starting and doing maintenance, and this block of code has to do with completing maintenance, right? So if complete automatic, and then complete notify subscribers, await, let's just say is maintenance complete true equals true, and then we'll just return, we'll end the workflow function, end the function, we are end the workflow, we are done. Okay, then to model the manual complete, the manual complete is going to be here, and we're going to say something like, I don't know, wait for set the handler up. Yeah, I mean, it's the same shit. It could honestly be the same signal, but probably would be too confusing. And then yeah, once it's done, once it's manually completed, then we'll just do this. So you can see some amount of repetition. The difference between these two code passes is that one has the await condition, and the other doesn't. So you could probably rearrange this if you wanted. It's up to you really on how you prefer to code. But that just means that we'll have a third client. Yeah, okay. Let's just call this like a manual signal. So there are two ways to actually do signals. So right here is we're actually just using the name of that signal, but we're also giving it some types. If you don't actually need that, then you don't need all of this. You can just say either a string signal name. So let's just give it a customer ID signal name. I'll just assume that you have this information. And I'll say signal name is either or. There we go. And that's a endpoint. That's a nice way to do that signaling. So I think that's it. Obviously there's this is a UI cancel to not start it off, but obviously if you wanted to cancel it, you can say, for example, something like client.cancel or handle.cancel, whatever that is. But this is the way to model this little workflow over here. with all that requirements done for you. It's pretty easy to test as well. And yeah, hopefully that just makes a lot of sense. It's amazing what you can do when you don't care about time and you can just go top to bottom and use time as a durable primitive rather than something that's in process and a bit flaky. So let me know what you think. Cheers.